The Maliks. In Latin, they're known as Mundus gubernavi, or the universal pilot, but they're also called the engineers or space jockeys, and they're a mysterious race of large, intelligent extraterrestrials best known for experimenting on xenomorphs. We caught our first glimpse of them in 1979's Alien, but it returned in Ridley Scott's comeback to the Alien franchise, featuring in Prometheus in 2012. However, its appearance and role in Prometheus was a new, improved version, since it was repurposed as part of a race known as the Engineers. This video will trace the origins of the Space Jockeys mystery, how it was retconned in Prometheus, and why that retcon is probably the most debated topic in the Alien franchise.
Alien life form. Looks like it's been dead a long time.
The Space Jockeys' first appearance in Alien. 1979. The Space Jockey is a mysterious and iconic figure from Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. It appears in a brief but memorable scene early in the film when the crew of the Nostromo explores the derelict alien spacecraft on the planetoid LV-426. In the film, the crew discovers a giant fossilized being sitting in a large chair-like device connected to it via what appears to be biomechanical tubing. The being has a large elephantine or trunk-like face and seems to have burst open from the inside at the chest, suggesting the same parasitic alien life cycle later seen with the crew. The chamber and the creature have a biomechanical aesthetic, with bones, like a ribcage, and machinery seeming to merge, a hallmark of H.R. Giger, who designed the creature and the environment. Created by H.R. Giger, the Space Jockey was part of his vision of an alien world where biology and machinery were blended. The design reflects Giger's surreal and disturbing biomechanical style and was initially referred to as the pilot or derelict pilot. The massive set piece of the jockey and its environment was constructed practically and remains a legendary piece of sci-fi cinema design. Its purpose in the story was to set up the mystery and alien scale of the universe, suggesting an ancient, unknown race that had encountered the Xenomorphs long before humans. It adds to a sense of cosmic horror, saying humans are intruding into something far beyond their understanding. It serves as a warning of what the Xenomorphs can do, having already destroyed a seemingly powerful alien species. While the Space Jockey from Alien was introduced as the massive fossilized humanoid creature found in the derelict spacecraft on LV-426, it's intrigued fans for decades. Since the film gave no concrete answers, early fan theories before 2012's Prometheus offered imaginative speculation. Here are some of the most prominent early fan theories.
Bones had been outward, like he exploded from inside.
The Space Jockey was a victim of a xenomorph outbreak. One of the most widely accepted early theories was that the Space Jockey's ship had been carrying xenomorph eggs, possibly as biological weapons or specimens, and something went wrong. A facehugger attacked the jockey, leading to a crash or emergency landing on LV-426. What supports this logic? The chest-bursted hole in the jockey and the presence of alien eggs in the ship's hold. The implication is that the xenomorphs are ancient and dangerous, and the jockey race fell victim to their own cargo. The Space Jockey was an alien scientist or explorer. This theory suggested the jockey was a benevolent alien, perhaps exploring or cataloging life forms across the galaxy. The Xenomorphs were discovered as a dangerous species or even a scientific creation gone wrong. What supports this logic? The technology on the ship and the jockey's positioning in a pilot's chair evoked a sense of deep space exploration. The implication was that the Xenomorphs were a deadly accident or an unintended discovery. The jockey was a part of a bioweapons program. Another theory posited that the Space Jockey species were militaristic, developing the Xenomorphs as bioweapons to use against enemies. What supports this logic? The eggs being arranged neatly in a hold look like a containment for weaponized use. The implication is that the jockeys may have been at war or preparing for one, and the Xenomorphs were engineered or cultivated intentionally. The derelict was a warning or quarantine site. Some fans theorized the ship had crashed or been intentionally set to LV-426 to isolate the threat of the Xenomorphs, possibly as a warning beacon. What supports this logic? The distress signal interpreted by the Nostromo's crew was actually a warning, not a call for help. The implication is that the Space Jockeys were aware of the danger and tried to prevent the spread. The jockeys created the Xenomorphs. This theory evolved later and was picked up by Prometheus, but early versions existed as well. Fans speculated the jockeys were a godlike race who engineered the Xenomorphs either as tools of evolution, punishment, or weapons. What supports this logic? The biomechanical design of the ship and the Xenomorphs hinted at a shared origin or creator. The implication is that the Xenomorphs weren't natural, but designed, raising philosophical questions about creation, control, and consequences. The Jockeys seeded life across the galaxy. Building on the ancient astronaut idea, this theory imagined the Space Jockeys as a seeder species, visiting planets and encouraging life to evolve, perhaps even including Earth. What supports this theory? Inspired by 1970s sci-fi tropes like Chariots of the Gods, this theory gained traction with fans who saw the jockey as a progenitor figure. The implication was that the Xenomorphs might be a tool in this process, or a rogue outcome. The Retcon in Prometheus, 2012. In Prometheus, Ridley Scott retconned the mysterious space jockey from Alien by revealing that it wasn't a bizarre fossilized alien species, but actually a humanoid being called an engineer wearing a biomechanical spacesuit. In 1979's Alien, the space jockey seems to be a giant elephantine alien with a long trunk-like face fused into a massive pilot chair. It looks fossilized, and its chest is burst open, suggesting it was a victim of a xenomorph chest burster. The creature is never explained. It's alien, mysterious, and otherworldly. The trunk is actually part of the helmet and breathing apparatus, not the creature's actual face. Underneath the suit, the engineer is a pale, muscular, human-like giant around 9 to 10 feet tall. The derelict ship seen in Alien is revealed to be an engineer spacecraft, part of their bioweapons program involving early forms of the xenomorph. The engineers had intended to wipe out humanity using these weapons, but something went wrong. A more elaborate definition of the engineers and their motives shows that they're a highly advanced ancient alien species believed to have created humanity by seeding Earth with their DNA. Their society revolves around bioengineering, and they possess powerful biotechnology, including the creation of dangerous mutagenic substances like the black goo from Prometheus. They're connected to the origins of the xenomorph species, though indirectly. In Prometheus, we see humans follow star maps to a moon called LV-223, where they stumble onto engineer ruins and even find a dead one sitting in a chair like the space jockey from Alien. And here's the big twist. The engineers were planning to wipe out humanity with a bioweapon, the black goo, but clearly things didn't go as planned. To understand better, I think it's important to take a look at the plotline of Prometheus. Prometheus, set in the year 2093, follows Dr. Shaw and Holloway as they lead a mission to a distant moon, LV-223. It's funded by Peter Weyland, who wants to seek out humanity's creators, the engineers. The crew is unprepared and encounters deadly biological threats, including a mysterious black liquid. One crew member, David the android, secretly experiments with the substance, causing infection and mutation. Eventually, they awaken an engineer who prepares to launch a ship to destroy Earth, viewing humanity as a failed experiment. The crew sacrifices themselves to stop the ship, while Shaw survives and releases a massive creature that kills the engineer. A xenomorph-like being is born from the engineer's corpse, linking the story to the Alien franchise. The film ends with Shaw choosing to search for the engineer's homeworld to ask why they turned on humanity. However, Alien Covenant abandoned this arc. Shaw is killed off-screen, the engineers are wiped out, and the focus shifts to David creating xenomorphs. Ridley Scott originally intended to explore deeper philosophical and mythological themes, including the engineer's motivations and Shaw's search for answers, but the franchise pivoted away from this storyline. Although Prometheus laid a rich foundation for a deeper mythos, its potential remains largely unrealized. Upcoming projects like Alien Earth may revisit some of these ideas, but fans continue to mourn the missed opportunity to follow Shaw and unravel the full mystery of the engineers. Reactions and controversy. Why did some fans dislike the retcon and some like it? Let me first address why some people don't like the retcon. The original 1979 space jockey was utterly alien, an enigmatic biomechanical being that hinted at an ancient, incomprehensible civilization. The mystery gave the alien universe depth, making it feel like humanity had stumbled into someone else's cosmic nightmare. Prometheus made the jockeys into humanoid engineers with clear motives, creation and punishment, stripping away the eerie Lovecraftian mystery. The engineers were seen as being too human in design. When the helmet came off, fans expected a bizarre alien. Instead, they got a pale, muscled humanoid. The jockey was now just a big guy in a suit, which many saw as underwhelming or unimaginative. Critics argued this made the engineers less alien and more mythological or biblical, powerful but no longer unknowable. Also, there were size inconsistencies in Alien. The space jockey appeared enormous, larger than the engineer shown in Prometheus. Fans noticed that the engineer's suit didn't match the scale of the original fossilized creature. Some called it a continuity error, others saw it as lazy design or a sign that the filmmakers prioritized theme over accuracy. On the other hand, some people appreciate the retcon because it expands the mythos of creation and the gods. Prometheus introduced big ideas such as the engineers creating humanity then trying to destroy us, echoing myths of gods and fallen creations. The jockey was now part of a grand cosmic narrative about life, death, and purpose, which excited fans of sci-fi philosophy. There was a tight tighter connection between humanity and the Xenomorphs. Instead of being random monsters, the Xenomorphs became a byproduct of humanity's creators. This kind of closed the loop. It gave the franchise a thematic backbone, creation turned against creator, repeating across different species. To bridge the gap between old and new, some fans developed theories to preserve the mystery and majesty of the original. Some speculate the engineers are imitators who modeled their ships and suits on a now extinct race, the original Jockeys. This would explain the scale difference and allow the 1979 Jockey to be a different species, preserving its alien nature. Others theorize the engineers may be genetic offshoots or creations of that earlier race, continuing their tech but not their biology. These theories help fans keep the myth alive, despite what the films have revealed. The legacy of the Space Jockey. The original Space Jockey scene in 1979's Alien is one of the most haunting and mysterious images in sci-fi cinema. The sheer scale of the fossilized pilot, slumped in its chair, made the universe feel ancient and unknowable. H.R. Giger's biomechanical design created a fusion of alien technology and organic matter, unlike anything audiences had seen. Even without backstory, it suggested a deep and tragic history, a lost race, a doomed mission, and an alien terror. Despite Prometheus giving it a human-like face, the original Jockey's visual remains untouched. It's often used in marketing, fan art, and retrospectives to symbolize the eerie grandeur of the original movie. Its influence on later Alien films, comics, and fan discussions meant that the mystery of the Jockey sparked decades of speculation. Comics and novels, even before Prometheus, often imagined the Jockeys as powerful elephant-like beings, either warlike, scientific, or even divine. Fan theories were rich and varied. Were they the Xenomorphs' creators, victims, protectors? The idea of ancient alien engineers influenced not just Prometheus, but also other sci-fi properties like Mass Effect, Halo, and Arrival. Even after the retcon, the Jockey's aura lingers. Fans still debate whether the engineer version fully captured what made the original so compelling. Many wondered whether Alien Covenant added to or muddled the lore further. In a way, it did. 2017's Alien Covenant took that Prometheus storyline further, but also complicated the Space Jockey's already complicated legacy. It revealed that David, the android, may have created the Xenomorphs, not the engineers. The engineers were shown as more vulnerable and less godlike, making them feel smaller and more human than their first impression. The shift in focus from cosmic mystery to a Frankenstein story about AI and creation sidelined the grandeur of the Space Jockey mythos. Many fans felt the lore became over-explained or inconsistent, and narrower, character-driven answers replaced the mystery that fueled decades of imagination. So the big question remains, is mystery better left unexplained, or do answers enrich the mythology? It's a tough one. The Space Jockey debate sits at the heart of a common tension in science fiction. Mystery preserves awe. The unknown invites imagination, dread, and a sense of a much bigger world. Explanation builds structure. It adds depth, coherence, and invites philosophical exploration, e.g. creation, purpose, and hubris. With the Space Jockey, some feel the mystery was more powerful than the answer. Others appreciate that Prometheus dared to go deeper, even if it couldn't match the feeling of that one unforgettable image in 1979. Some marvelous trivia before getting to the verdict. During the production of Alien, there was a period when the Space Jockey was nearly removed from the pilot chamber due to budget concerns. The idea was to hide his body in the landscape, blending it with rocks so the crew wouldn't notice it until reviewing footage, inspired by the film Blow Up. H.R. Giger was asked to reimagine the scene this way, but later the decision was reversed, and the Jockey was restored to the cockpit position we now recognize. Although sketches were made for the outdoor version, it never went beyond concept art. For years, fans believed a prop had been built based on a Topps trading card image, but it turned out to be just a rock formation. In the end, the change was for the best. The cockpit version gave the Space Jockey his iconic and memorable status. Here's a quick timeline of Space Jockey design changes. In early 1978, the Space Jockey would appear inside the derelict ship's cockpit, fossilized in his chair, as seen in the final film. In May 1978, Ridley Scott and the producers told H.R. Giger to remove the cockpit scene due to cost. A new idea takes shape where it's said that the Jockey's remains outside, camouflaged as twisted rock formations. This was inspired by the film Blow Up, where something is only discovered later via footage. In mid-1978, Giger created a few sketches and doodles for the outdoor version. The idea remains in development for a couple of months, but it never becomes a full project. In July 1978, Giger gets a call. The original cockpit plan is back. The Space Jockey will once again appear in his chair inside the ship. In 1979, a Topps trading card showing a strange rock formation led fans to believe it was a cut jockey prop, but it was just rocks, and no outdoor jockey was ever built. Finally, only the cockpit version of the Space Jockey remained and became one of the most iconic visuals in sci-fi history. Marvelous verdict! No one really knows what the future of the Alien franchise holds, but from what we've seen of upcoming projects, it's gonna take a different route from both Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Alien Earth, the newly released FX series, is set 2 years before the original, which brings it to the Prometheus timeline and also increases the importance of the Space Jockeys. Therefore, in our opinion, the future may just belong to the engineers, as in the Space Jockeys, despite mixed reactions to the movies and the engineers. The loss of Shaw has left a void, with David operating the villain's desk, so we're not sure what the future looks like. To us, Dr. Elizabeth Shaw is a lot like Ellen Ripley, so we're wondering if she'll return, maybe as the Queen Xenomorph. We're not sure what that would look like, but we're eager to see who David faces next. What do you think the future of the Alien franchise looks like? We'd love to hear in the comments section down below. Unfortunately though, that's all we got for you this time, so thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.